Earth, the blue planet, 3 planets from our sun, with one moon orbiting around our planet, home to 7 billion people who inhabit this beautiful world, with hundreds of thousands of plants and animals. Our planet is very special. It contains something that we, as humans, can't live without. It is one of the backbones of life, water. We drink it, we buy it, we use it to flush our toilets. Without it, we would never be where we are today. But we, humans, these days, have been slowly killing our blue planet, from pollution, dumping chemicals into water, factories, and especially fossil fuels. There is plenty of reactions that come from this pollution. Some causes of pollution can form into acid rain. Our documentary is based on acid rain. We'll be going over the cause and effect of acid rain, why acid rain happens, how it happens, and our experiment shows the effect and the pH levels of what an acid rainstorm can cause an ecosystem. We will be also talking about how to prevent and how you, the people of the world, can help.
What is acid rain? Acid rain is pretty much exactly like it sounds. It is rain that has been contaminated by our pollution and now has a negative impact on our environment and on Earth. These oxides release into the clouds, where they merge with hydrogen molecules in the clouds and then get deposited back in forms of precipitation. The reaction of acid rain in the clouds is actually fueled by sunlight. In addition, rainwater, snow, fog, and other forms of precipitation containing those mild solutions of sulfuric and nitric acid fall to the earth as acid rain. More on oxides.
Sulfur dioxide, SO2. This pungent gas is released naturally by volcanic eruptions, as well as iron and steel production and crude oil processing. Nitrogen oxides. The two most prominent nitrogen oxides found in acid rain are nitrogen monoxide and nitrogen dioxide. NO is a generic term for mononitrogen oxides, NO1, which is nitrogen monoxide, and NO2, which is nitrogen dioxide. And in high traffic areas, these are released due to automobiles.
So what causes acid rain?
Good question. Acid rain is a term used to describe rainfall that has a pH level of less than 5.6. Acid rain is formed when oxides of nitrogen and sulfite combine with moisture in the atmosphere to make nitric and sulfuric acids. Not only does the acidity of the acid precipitation depend on the emission levels of the gases, but also on the chemical mixtures in which sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides interact in the atmosphere.
Contrary to popular belief, the biggest cause of these gases being released into the atmosphere is from volcanic eruptions rather than fossil fuels and automobiles. But more than 90% of the sulfur and 95% of the nitrogen emissions occurring in the eastern North America are of human origin. pH is measured on a scale from 0 to 14, with 0 being the most acidic and 14 being the most basic. pH focuses on the concentration of hydrogen ions and hydroxide ions. For example, battery acid is a 0, liquid drain cleaner is a 14, while distilled water is a 7. Anything that is a straight acid or a base is incredibly dangerous. So how do you measure pH? One easy way that you can measure pH is with a strip of litmus paper. When you touch a strip of litmus paper to something, the paper changes color depending on whether the substance is acidic or basic. If the paper turns red, the substance is acidic, and if it turns blue, then the substance is basic. The effects of acid rain on a terrarium life. Things you will need for the experiment are a red cabbage, a knife, distilled water, a Bunsen burner, a pot or very large beaker, vinegar or lemon juice, baking soda, small beakers, and if you would like, you can use a strainer. Procedure. To measure the pH balance inside of the terrarium, follow the following steps in order to create an indicator. Start off by taking the head of a red cabbage and using a knife to finely chop it into small pieces. Once you're done with this, heat distilled water until it's boiling. Once the water has reached its boiling point, make sure to add all of the chopped red cabbage into the boiling water. Allow it to soak for about 10 minutes and then drain out all the solid pieces. You should be left with a violet-hued juice. This juice should have a natural pH balance of around 7. At this point, this is all you should have. Test out the cabbage juice by pouring a small amount into 2 separate cups. Add vinegar to 1 cup and baking soda into the other. Vinegar is acidic and should turn the solution hot pink. Baking soda solution is alkaline and will turn blue or green. These 2 solutions will be used in order to measure whether or not the pH balance in the soil is at a normal level before and after the acid rain simulation. To check the pH balance of the dirt inside the terrarium, we took a sample from it and placed it inside some clean cabbage juice. Then we just let it sit there for a couple of minutes and then drained it out. Once we were done draining it out, we noticed that it stayed at the same color and it had a few pieces of the white plant filler inside. But other than that, it was the same color, proving that the terrarium had a natural pH balance of around 7. Creating the acid rain. In order to create the acid rain, we had to simulate it by mixing hydrochloric acid with water. We measured the water's pH balance and the acid's balance separately, and then mixed them together till we got a balance that was similar to that of acid rain. This is an image of us checking the pH balance of a makeshift acid rain with that of a real acid rain. Once we were satisfied with the pH level of the new mixture, we poured it into a spray bottle and proceeded to spray it onto the terrarium. We sprayed the terrarium from top to bottom with the acid rain that we simulated inside of the spray bottle. Once we made sure that everything was covered with water, we let it sit for a weekend and hoped to see any changes.
When we came back to see the terrarium a couple of days later, there wasn't many physical changes, but there were a few. Some of the plants had wilted a bit and had turned brown in some certain areas. The dirt also looked a bit dull, but that could also just be from the lack of watering. Overall, the physical appearance only changed slightly, but that still showed the effects acid rain has on it. We then proceeded to test the pH balance inside of the terrarium by following the same procedure we had done earlier, of boiling the water, adding the cabbage, and draining it. We noticed that even though the terrarium only had a bit of acid rain exposure, the color inside of the cabbage juice changed a bit from the original color. If the original pH balance inside of the terrarium had been a 7, I would say that it moved down closer to a 6 because of the acidity level. What we learned over the course of this experiment was that even though acid rain has a negative effect on terrarium life and planet life, the planet and nature system has a way of combating itself and dealing with it. But over a long period of time, that system starts to fall and starts to fail. Which is why we have to stop it. We have to stop acid rain and find a way to prevent it.
There's no real prevention method for acid rain, but sulfuric emissions need to be significantly reduced, as well as the emission of greenhouse gases. When the use of alternative energy sources rise, acid rain will happen fewer and fewer. But the only thing we can do is try and stop pollution
And hope that our planet knows how to deal with acid rain.